If you have not yet read the story, The Game Developer's Nightmare, you can go ahead and check it out on my blog over at jrnau.com, linked in the description. Alternatively, you can listen to it here on my YouTube channel, which is linked in the description. In this video, I will be breaking down how I used a ChatGPT-4 powered AI to write the story and will give my analysis for how it performed. Spoiler, better than I was expecting, but it took a while to get there. Over on my blog, I've also provided the full transcript of my chat with the AI while generating the story. Before getting into the analysis, a brief introduction. I've been following the recent surge of AI development with eager interest. About 10 years ago, I even tinkered with writing my own chatbot with AIML, which was not much more than a series of if-then statements in computer programming. As an artist and author, I would not want AI to completely replace my work, but I do see it being a potentially powerful tool to make my work stronger. However, I would never want the AI to write any of my novels for me. So, with this interest in AI, I wondered, what if I took an idea I already had for a short story I was working on and fed it to the AI? When I asked the AI to generate a story, it asked for parameters of genre. It did not go straight into writing a story of its own idea. In the future, I may try to prompt the AI for story ideas first, and then have it generate a story from there. For this story, I jumped right in, after establishing that it was indeed willing to write the story. I told it to write in the style of a creepypasta, one of my wife's favorite types of stories to read. I figured it would be a good, short, and simple style to try the AI on. I described a few key story beats and themes, including how the main character is an overworked VR game developer who began seeing a monster. The character was attacked at night and his disappearance investigated by police in the morning. I also wanted him to have a concerned sister with a family. The first version was better than I had expected, which encouraged me to push the AI further. However, at first attempt, the story had some issues. First, is that it began with "Once Upon a Time," about the most generic opener it could come up with, and not appropriate for the horror feel I was going for. Since I did not name the game developer, the AI chose John. Though it is a John Doe name, I let it keep it since I find John to be a nice name otherwise. Another issue with this first version was that it basically took my original synopsis and simply expanded each beat into larger sections and more sentences. Sometimes it even paraphrased what was in my prompts. The AI did not contribute a lot of its own ideas to the story. The biggest exception was the ending, which read more like an epilogue. Years went by, and the game that John had worked on became a huge success. But some people say that if you played the game in VR, you can still see John's ghost wandering the woods outside his apartment, looking for the creature that killed him. This new ending was original to the AI and perfectly suited the creepypasta I told it to use. For the next few versions, I focused on revising the beginning, first by telling the AI that "Once Upon a Time" was too generic, and getting back "It was a dark and stormy night." Again, a little generic, and I pushed the AI to give more description of the storm, going along with this idea track it had. Here is where the AI was improving, not just describing the rain as coming down in sheets, but also adding how the wind was howling outside without a specific prompt asking to add those exact details. It was also great how it added those adjectives. The other huge improvement at this stage was that I asked the AI to make the whole story longer, and it did. In the future, I would like to push the AI further and really explore how much longer of a story the AI could write. At this point, the story went from only 5 paragraphs to 11 paragraphs. The bulk of additions came in the beginning. The ending didn't change as much. The AI offered to now start the story with John heading home from work late at night in the storm, emphasizing how he works too much. There is suspense as he walks home, feeling watched, and hearing scratching noises at his apartment door. This tension builds to him looking out his window to see the creature in the woods. The AI did a remarkable job in this segment, without any further prompting to get those details, culminating in the climax for the scene, which had been given as a detail in my original synopsis told to the AI. After this introduction, the AI added a small segment about seeing the monster again on the way to work the next day, but otherwise skipped right to the end. I had to prompt the AI to expand the climax of the story, asking the AI to add more to the creature attack. Although I could have asked the AI to describe more encounters first, I didn't want to add too much length to this first experiment, so I let the AI quickly go into the final attack of the monster. The AI did something curious here, which I had not seen in other simple chats with the AI. It started writing a new draft of the whole story, got to the last paragraph, stopped mid-sentence, and automatically started another draft from the beginning. With each updated version, it added further detail to the final attack, recognizing that the first of these two versions did not go quite far enough in descriptive detail, but had been on the right track. One more prompt, and I let the AI complete the story. I asked the AI to add a little more to the resolution about the sister and how she wished she had invited John to family board game nights more often. In the final version of the story, the AI basically copied my prompt, almost word for word, and inserted it in a way that made logical sense. That brings us to the final version of the story, as published on my blog and narrated it by me here on this channel. In a later chat, I asked the AI to come up with some title ideas. The suggestions were The Creature in the Woods, The Horror Game, The Night of the Storm, The Attack of the Horror Creature, and The Disappearance of John. In a separate chat, I asked the AI to pick one of these titles. It chose The Attack of the Horror Creature, after some prompting. At first, it described some methods for how to pick which one for myself, and asked for more context about the type of story the title was for. Interestingly, at the same time it told me its pick, the AI also offered two other options that it believed would be more original and attract more readers. These were The Attack of the Slender Man, which of course is not actually original at all, and The Game Developer's Nightmare. With the story complete, I wondered what the AI would think of a story it wrote, so I asked it for revision ideas, feeding it the whole story. The AI did not think its story was perfect, and had some very apt criticisms and specific suggestions. These included having more showing not telling, pointing out an exact scene in the beginning where the reader could be shown more vividly how John overworks himself, and not just saying so. Another suggestion was to add more dialogue. Indeed, the story does not have any dialogue, and John is the only character, aside from the monster, that the audience really sees throughout the story. In a normal story, I would agree. However, I did request the AI to write the story in the style of a creepypasta, and dialogue was not necessary for the style. The AI also did not care much for the plot, finding a lack of obstacles to John achieving his goals or trying to escape the monster. The story was criticized for simply being a series of events happening to John until an abrupt ending. The AI also wanted a clear resolution with a lesson learned, change in John's character, twist, or revelation. I also liked how the AI gave me its sources and resources for further reading about revising stories. Do you agree with the AI's criticisms and suggestions for its own story? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like it and subscribe, it lets me know you enjoyed this video. Remember to click the bell to know when I post my next video about AI and writing. Or go check out my other series, where I explore archaeology and history within video game settings. Thank you for watching.